25th anniversary edition of the Passion for Speed Festival is proudly brought to you by Marlboro Crane Hire and Swartkops International World of Motoring. Everybody has been on the edge of their seats and waiting for the 25th anniversary of the Passion for Speed Festival here at Swartkops. It's the biggest and best event to kick off the 2026 season. Let's catch up now with Peter du Toit.
Welcome to Swartkops. Today is the 25th anniversary of the Passion for Speed. It originally started with David Piper. It is a celebration of speed, of action, of ingenuity, of creativity, of the cars and of the people of some 60 years ago, right through to the current age of motoring. A huge variety of motor cars, plenty of action, and a reminder of where the foundation of modern motor racing came from. Cars that are so different, drivers that were brave, and to see the dynamics of what motor racing was and what motor racing is in terms of active participation and aspiration from the younger generation.
It certainly has changed a lot since David Piper's series. Great to see Jan Lammers here, ex-Formula 1 driver and Le Mans winner. Big crowds on the stands. They've been here since early morning, and we kick things off with the Little Giants and under 2 litre class. And this is going to turn out to be an epic battle at the front end. It's Zimbabwe's Denzel Barner who leads them out as they go down to the double yellows for the first time. Right on his tail is Alan Poulter looking for a way through early on, but he has to wait until they come out of turn 3. Inside line there, nice run from Mark Miller, and then behind that you can see them all lining up, ready to go in the Little Giants category. Under 2 litres are at the front end, but it's the Little Giants that we'll be concentrating on and watching the front and back of this race as the war unfolds for the first time today. It's the opening race, and as they head down towards turn 3, they get the green flag, but it's a red flag as Josh du Toit gets it wrong at turn 5.
Feels good. It's not wet, it's dried up, so it's good. Just unfortunately, somebody went off at the top, so we're starting again.
Exactly there. Francesco Lombardi, he will be our onboard cameraman today. The back, Dion Schwabski, having to start from pit lane as they roll round now. And yes, as you heard, it was a little bit wet this morning when we came to Swartkops, but things certainly have dried up nicely. And there we go. Start line, green light, away we go, or lights off. As they head down towards turn 1 and 2, it's double yellow, so they remain in their line of stern positions they start in until they come out of turn 3. Hopefully we'll get the green flag now with no red flags thrown into the mix, and everybody will get a chance to go out and have some fun. Chris and Richard Williams sharing a car out there. They're also in a similar car to what Denzel Barner is driving at the front end with the little Anglia. Those little Anglias are absolutely immaculately prepared. Francesco Lombardi, here we go, on board with him. This is the GT Junior, similar to the car that Joshy was in. Unfortunately, Josh du Toit, one of the young du Toits who's involved in this. And great to see that they've changed up the mix of drivers. It's not only the old guys that are out there, there's some brand new youngsters getting involved in the Passion for Speed Festival and enjoying every minute of it. Nicole Donker, lady driver in one of the Trans-Africa Racing GT Juniors as well. Here goes the battle though, right onto the tailpiece there. I think that's of Roger Houston. Yes, it is. Houston under a bit of pressure there from Lombardi and squeezing out on the outside. By the looks of things, a bit of problems for the Cortina. Yeah, that little Ford Cortina of Coral Pinar smoking as he comes out of turn 6 and into 7. Will he try and stay out there and survive? No, he looks like he's going to go into pit lane. So that's a big pity to lose that car so early on. Already some manoeuvres coming from the background. Chad Tendershate making a welcome return into South African motorsport. He's in the number 3 there. That's the Flamingo from the GSM Dart team out of Trans-Africa Racing. But at the front end, wow, a little bit of smoke out of the... Ooh, that's not good. A little bit of smoke coming out of Barner's car, but that also might just have been maybe a little bit of overflow. But I tell you something, Barner's car is working brilliantly. Further back, Houston continues the battle here with Lombardi as they head towards Castral Corner at turn 2. Lombardi going to try and close the gap down here. It's Berliner versus the Alpha GT Junior. Nice little battle here in what would be originally in the old format, the Alpha Trofeo. But now, of course, in this Little Giants category and under 2 litre class, epic battles. So we've got what would sort of been made world famous in Harry Potter's car there at the front end with Barner driving it from Bulawayo, and on his tail Poulter in the Tom Camphor Volvo. That 122 Volvo is absolutely brilliant around this track. And Alan Poulter, you can see, has got a certain advantage, but unfortunately not enough time as the checkered flag comes out. And it's Barner who takes the first victory ahead of Poulter. Great drive from Mark Miller in third place, beats out Roger Houston, who stays ahead of our cameraman. Then it was the Tenderchates, John beating Chad in the end. Deploy Front Fleder, the Bat Lady, just beating Tim Crosland to the line for the top 10. And staying with the pre-66-68 Little Giants and under 2 litres, we go straight into race 2. Denzel Barner looking for a double victory, but certainly a lot more pressure, I think, going to be applied by Alan Poulter. He wants to not make it a double win for the Zimbabwean. There's no doubt about it. That little Flamingo doing a superb job at the hands of Chad Tendashate, but he lost out in the closing stages of race number 1 to his dad, John, who came through there in the GSM Dart. So a nice little battle in-house between the Trans-Africa Racing boys. And that's for honours in the Little Giants. So Little Giants battle raging right from the word go as we get the green flag. Top 2 getting away there. Mark Miller, interesting with that little car. That's the first time Alpha chucked in a twin cam overhead, and very popular amongst the Alphisti at that stage. And a lot of production cars basically followed suit with what Alpha did there. So really nice innovation to get that car out there. But great to see him. Unfortunately, his teammate or his stablemate there, Roger Houston, not making it out for the second heat. This is John Tendashate, and he maintains the lead so far ahead of Chad. This is the Dart versus the Flamingo, 2 versions of the GSM version of cars that are down in Trans-Africa Racing Stable. Great to see that incredible stable, fully prepared. Sibu must have had about 35 cars he had to prep this weekend. So an amazing job there from him and his team to get these cars all ready to race. And certainly John is loving life in the car that he usually pilots in Little Giants, doing a superb job there. Under 2 litres starting to heat up a little bit at the front end, a little bit of pressure coming from Poulter, but we watch in the background because there's a bit of a close from Chris Duploy and the Bat Lady in the second of those GT Juniors, looking to try and close down at least onto the back of the Flamingo of Chad Tendashate. Interesting to see that these cars were originally, of course, built in Cape Town, and with big plans to take them internationally. Some of them ended up in Europe and the UK, and the GSM Darts and Flamingos certainly are a fan favourite amongst the fans that come to Swartkops. And having driven one myself, absolutely amazing fun to drive as well. The fun was being had early on by Denzel Barner and Alan Poulter, but with the checkered flag coming out, Barner's pulled a gap yet again, and he's going to make it a double on the day for the Bulawayo Bomber. So he comes through nicely to take a double victory ahead of Alan Poulter. Mark Miller in 3rd place. That's your top 3 in the under 2 litres. And we go down to John Tendashate, who takes the victory in the Little Giants, beating Chad and Chris Deploy as they cross the line. Another run there from the Bat Lady, ahead of Schwabski in 10th place. Let's catch up now with your double winner from Bulawayo, Denzel Barner.
I had a good race at the start with Norman Poulter. He kept me honest for the good couple of laps. I tell you what, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed that.
Welcome back to action from the 25th anniversary of the Passion for Speed Festival at Swartkops. And great to see young and old being entertained. A long supporter of this event is Roy Campos, and he's brought his whole team.
The BMW has just gone out. It's a 98 Group N championship winning car with Anthony Taylor. And Jason is driving it, so I'll allow him to drive it. And Keegan, my younger son, he gets to drive the Porsche. The Porsche mostly races in ISP. I think it's sort of punches above its weight and ability. But Keegan seems to get it going. You know, he's obviously a national driver nowadays, and he looks after it. He knows, they both know they can't damage the car. My car is a fantastic Shelby Can-Am. I wish there are 25 cars sitting in people's garages, and I wish they'd come and race. I mean, I sent out the invites, and I'm the only one here. So it's quite disappointing that the other guys don't come, you know, because the car's not qualified. You know, they're over 25 years old. So I was really hoping maybe I can convince them for next year again.
Fantastic effort there from the Campos team, but an interesting story with the next car. It was originally piloted in the original format by John Love and Paul Hawkins, and had a big dice with Hawkins and Hellwood in Bulawayo, where Hellwood almost took out the control tower. Let's catch up with Neil Lobb and see what his plans are in his Gunston Lola T70.
I think a Porsche 917 is a thing of beauty, but the Lola is just such a rugged, beautiful beast. That's the only way I can put it. It's a privilege to race it. The car belongs to Colin Frost. I have the privilege of driving it. And this morning, what can we say? I had a brilliant sleep last night. You know, we've had so much problems with braking on the car. Brakes just not being able to last the distance of a race. And it seems it's all sorted. The car's going wonderfully, and I'm really looking forward to today.
So on that note, let's do exactly what your t-shirt says. Let's race those classics in the International Sports Prototypes. Coming to the line now for the rolling start, Roy Campos on pole in that V8-powered Shelby, originally coming into the country with Dodge engines in. Then they went to the Nissan V6s, which ran as a very successful championship over a number of seasons in sports cars in South Africa. Neil Lobb joined him at one point and is a multiple champion, along with Roy Campos. Alongside him is Larry Wilford, who also used to race against him on a few occasions when the Westbank Modifieds teamed up with the sports cars and did a collaboration race on a few occasions. At the back, another Porsche there of Roy Aubrey, pushing hard to get to the front. At the front, though, another interesting story there. That's Pim Peters's car that Larry Wilford has taken over, the late, great Pim Peterson. Nice to see that car in full flight. We're on board with him. He's our onboard cameraman. And he's also driving in the Lola T70. And this car, absolutely flying with a Lexus motor powering this machine as it tries to close down on the big V8 ahead. Lob is third. Behind that is the Chevron B8 of Jonathan DeToy. And in the sandwich of the DeToys is Keegan Campos. Now, we heard from Roy, he normally sort of punches a little higher than most of those cars can do. But that little RSR is pushing hard and is ahead of the Lola T70 Spider of Mark DeToy, as the Lola T70 of Larry Wilford takes the lead of the race as they go into turn 6. So we got lots of action happening out on track and trying to get as much information to you as well. Wow, lockup of the brakes there from DeToy. Jono trying to find a way through there on Neil Lobb. I think he might have squeezed through. That little B8 is a bit more nimble than the Lola, but look at it side by side. So you got Lola T70 Spider behind that. The Walls ice cream car, famous ice cream company here in South Africa, and amazing to see that car still in full flight with Mark DeToy on his tail. 2x2, twice in a row there coming out of Castrol. Brilliant stuff. And Campos just losing out there to the slightly more powerful machines ahead of him. And if Campos could catch him, he could probably buy one of those Walls ice cream, because on the back it says, "Catch me and buy one." Originally driven by Jackie Pretorius in the original Springbok series. Great to see that car still in full flight. Not so good to see that, though. That's John at turn 4. It's light. It should get over the top of that very thick kitty litter. Hopefully he doesn't spin the wheels up too much and dig himself in. Perfectly done. Well done, Jonathan DeToy, bringing that B8 back onto track, but it's dropped him right to the back of the pack of this ISP brigade. Lob under pressure from Campos. Now, he'll be looking at his rearview mirrors going, that's not normally the Campos I'm used to fighting with. Big smoke out of Mark's car. Heading down towards turn 1. A huge plume of white smoke coming out of that T70 Spider. Is that going to be a bit of a concern? Do we have to watch out for that? Some more smoke back down towards turn 2. That's right into the face. And you can see both Campos and Lob went slightly left of that car, just in case there was some fluid being dropped onto the surface. Oh, this looks like a change up here. Yes, look at this. Larry Wilford's been caught here. Has he got a bit of a misfire? He's short shifting as they come out of 7, down towards 8. Watch for Campos on his inside, possibly going to squeeze through. No, not close enough yet, but he's definitely closed that gap down rapidly. Larry Wilford pulled about 6 or 7 seconds ahead of Campos at one point, and now is about to be overtaken for the lead. They head into turn 1. It's the V8 Shelby squeezing through. Wilford down a second, so there must be some kind of an issue here on Wilford's car. As they head to... listen to that, the downshift there. He was double clutching as they came through and went down into first gear for that hairpin down a Castrol. He gets second gear, gets good drive again, so it must be just an intermittent miss, because he's now back on song and he comes up alongside Campos through turn 3. Couldn't quite get the squeeze through, and at the top, that's a problem. Avakimedes in the Gulf Racing coloured Porsche, and another Porsche at turn number 4. That is the 917. The 917 Porsche of Peter Bailey has put it into the kitty litter. I don't think they'll get that car out. The flag is out, fortunately, and it's going to be a win for Roy Campos, just ahead of Larry Wilford in the end, to the tune of 0.8 between the two of them. Mark DeToy hung on for third, beating out Neil Lobb. Keegan Campos a top 5 from him. Andre van der Merwe in a similar Porsche in 6th place beats out Jonathan DeToy. Sef Reed Jr. and Hamon Klicher with Avakimedes in 10th. Let's catch up now with 2nd place, Larry Wilford.
We ran tight for the last 3 laps, but I think by that time I'd actually overheated the tires, but it was so lekker to race against Roy. It was awesome. Enjoyed it immensely.
So did the crowd, and they're about to be entertained one more time as the ISPs head down towards turn 1 and 2. Looking on the third row of the grid there is Sefari. Didn't see much of him in the first one, but great to see him out there in the Lolette, and joining this pack in this race as well will be Kenneth Persson at the back, all the way from Sweden in the McLaren MP5. An amazing machine. And he's there, of course, with his good friend Jan Kling in an original GT40. So what a field of cars. We've got type cars, we've got original cars. We have got an absolute epic battle about to unfold now for the ISP's second heat. And Larry Wilford, you just mentioned the fact that you enjoyed racing with Roy. Let's see if we can get one up on him in this one, as they head out of turn 3 and up towards turn 4 for the first time. Looks like the V8's got the hammer down, though, and Roy's not looking to hang around. Good to see Jonathan Toy back in the hunt where he was earlier on after that little mistake he made in race number 1 that ended up in the kiddie litter. He's closing down on his brother, who's doing the same thing there, on to the back end of Larry Wolford. I don't see the Gunston car out there of Neil Lobb, but we'll see if he's able to get back on track. Maybe he started a bit late out of the pit lane. I'm not sure, but I haven't seen him on track just yet. Let's keep an eye on whether he gets out there. At this point in time, though, it's the 2 de Toys closing down on Larry Wolford. Behind them, a little bit of slipping and sliding. As you can see, the tyres starting to feel the heat of the day. It's certainly a lot hotter than these cars were when they came out for the first heat. And they're definitely going to feel that. You heard from Larry Wolford as well that he was battling with a bit of overheating on the tyres. In the background, as I said, it is the Lowlet, and there, once again, an example of how Siafari had that car a bit sideways. That is Peter de Toy's original race car, and great to see it into the stable again at Trans-Africa Racing, this time out piloted by his good friend Siafari, who's had a busy day in the saddle and has still got a lot more races to compete in. Great to see the 917 back out, the Bailey Cars 917 Porsche fighting there with the Vakamidis. Trying to make up some lost ground there is Peter Bailey. He also builds a lot of these cars, particularly the ones at the front end, the Lolas, the Lola T70s. He's got a couple of Tipo 33 Alphas and Porsches and GD40s that he, of course, built. And there you can see, oh, Lob is back out. Lob is back out, just picked up on that Gunston car, so he must have just snuck through the field there. But Neil Lob is back out and now looking to close in on Siaf and make a way past. And looks like it's going to happen at turn 5. Front end, it is a much closer battle between Mark du Toit and the T70 of Larry Wolford. Roy Campos has disappeared. Look at the gap. It's a big gap there between Campos as he comes down towards Castrol. And just ahead of him, just behind him is Shane Frost, about to be caught now by the 2nd and 3rd place battle. Here they come. Down towards Castrol. Lola T70 versus Lola T70 Spider. Where else in the world do you see a battle like this other than at the Passion for Speed 25th anniversary? And a V8 powered Shelby leading the way. That's the AC Cobra Coupe. Shane Frost at the wheel of that one, but he's watching his mirrors, watching those blue flags, probably waving frantically at him to say, look out, this Lola steam train is about to catch you. Interesting to see, though. Mark du Toit, probably with a little bit more vision on the rear view of that car if he gets ahead of Larry Wolford, if he's able to make a way past. Oh, and again, it's the 917 out of shape at the top of the hill. In fact, that's down at turn 2. It's at Castrol. He got that out of shape there, Peter Bailey. 2nd time he's been into the kiddie litter. This time he stayed onto the track, but the checkered flag comes out, and it's Campos for the double victory. 2nd place, heading to the line. Look how close it was. Larry Wolford just hanging on, but alongside him was Mark du Toit. Fantastic battle between the two of them. This is what it looked like on board. He went down there, but brilliant stuff yet again from Campos to take the double victory on the day. Wolford with the double 2nd. Mark du Toit beats out Jonathan. See if he comes through in the Lowlet there for 5th place. Vakamidi is a little higher up, ahead of Klucher, Kling, Ryan Quanchai, and Peter Bailey, eventually still classified in 10th place. After that epic battle, let's get Mark's feelings on this little dice.
I was a little bit too far back to make a proper move, so I stuck my nose in a little bit. I thought maybe if he runs wide, I'll have it, but yeah, he beat me in the end. But it was really fun. Enjoyed it a lot.
Welcome back to action from the 25th anniversary of the Passion for Speed Festival. It's busy in the pit lane, it's busy in the pit boxes, and it's almost time to go racing again. But back from Singapore, Ryan Quanchai.
It's always lovely being back in South Africa. Patrick's here for the first time, and it's a great experience for us because they definitely do not have this sort of thing in Singapore.
Absolutely lovely place. I mean, as you know, all places are made by people, and I've found the South Africans incredibly hospitable. Lovely place.
One of the big cars and big fighters this weekend is Kenneth Pearson in the McLaren MP5.
The McLaren is, from the beginning, it was bought from Joachim Bonnier, and he raced it in Karlskoga 1968 together with David Piper, and Joachim he spun that time, and David he won with his Ferrari that time. After that, Joachim Bonnier he bring the car to America and do the Can-Am series there. Now it had delivery from Karlskoga race. It did 1968.
The 45-minute endurance race, one of the stalwarts of this event. last year's champion James Temple will be looking to try and get a double, and that would be 3 that he would take in this incredible race.
I think if I can do a back-to-back, it would be good now. So I'm going to try to break that omen. You know, unfortunately, that race is not long enough for an endurance and it's not short enough for a sprint, so it's sort of in the middle. So it is what it is. We do our best. We run as close as we can to break out. And if the result comes, the result comes. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but yes, I would like to be able to at least have another one with it, yeah.
So just to explain what James is saying there is a breakout rule of 1 minute 10. You've got to run 1 minute 10 or higher. You can't go underneath that, otherwise you get a drive-through penalty. There's also a compulsory pit stop, which is 3 minutes as you enter the pit lane and exit the pit lane. You can do a driver change. You can only refuel where the cars are parked at the moment, as you see the rest of the field rolling out here behind them. Nice array of vehicles in this. And what it's designed to do is to give these cars an opportunity to run against the more modern vehicles. Kenneth Pearson already got a problem. The McLaren was certainly one of the firm favourites in this, and he's on the exit point of pit lane and stopped on the sideline. We did hear from the start is delayed, you can see there, and they're going to go under the safety car for a couple more laps so that they can extricate Kenneth and get him out of the way. But it looks like there's going to be a bit of work there needed to be done by Kenneth and his team, and of course are joined by the Koenig boys, who will be working frantically to get that McLaren sorted out, hopefully in time to get him back out on track. We'll keep an eye on that. Toyota Gazoo Racing and Pretoria Noord Toyota moves its way into pit lane as we go under starters orders. It's double yellows down into 1 and 2 as always, just to keep this field nicely spread and everybody through turn 1 and 2. But it is Temple, the man who won last year, who leads things out. And we'll pick up on a couple of the cars that are in this little battle, and looking forward to some epic little ones in this little battle, as well as further back in the classes involved here. Warren Lombard wants to take another victory. There you can see Pearson's McLaren parked on the sideline. Remember, the Detroit boys are looking for their magnificent number 7. If they go and get a victory today, it'll be the 7th time they've won this event in the last 24 years of the undertaking of this incredible South African Tourist Trophy. Oh, Dovey's got a problem heading up the hill. That's Josh Dovey in the Janetta with a problem as he heads up to the top of the hill. Here comes Campos on the inside, diving through and finding a way past on that AC Cobra. Trying to find a way through on that one early on. It's not easy to do. Ryan Quanshire and Patrick Mortier, the guys we caught up with just at the top of the show, at the top of this race as well, chatting from the Singapore team. Nice move there from Detroit, sneaking through there on Alan Mayer. Alan Mayer in the second of the Chevron B8s that are down in the Trans-Africa Racing stable. That one is run with a BMW engine, but this is Mark Detroit leading out the battle and trying to close down on those front couple of cars. In those front couple of cars, you've got Jan Kling in the original GT40 as well, remember? And that's not Temple, that's his teammate. That's Dirk Venter, unfortunately, off track as he came out of turn 8. So the second of the Daytonas out of Lindenberg Racing putting it wrong, and it looks like the Marauder's gone off as well. That's John and Chad Tendeshate that'll be in the Marauder there from Trans-Africa Racing. Peter Bailey has swapped his allegiance from Porsche to GT40. A previous winner in this race as well in that GT40 that's built in his own stable, so he'll be looking to try and get that car up, and there's a yellow flag at the top of the hill there for the Janetta of Dovey. So we got Temple at the front, Warren Lombard in second, and Peter Bailey in third. Those are all previous winners of this event. Then this is the Dutch team. Of Michiel Campagna and Jan Lammers. They're in the Trans-Africa Racing Daytona, followed by the second of those Daytonas. That one is piloted by Mark Miller. Originally he had a teammate alongside him, but that teammate didn't arrive, so he's all on his own. So Miller's going to have to do this all on his own. There are a couple of drivers that are doing the full 45 minutes on their own, and a couple of teammates that are going to do it as a team of 2. Warren Lombard is one of them. Peter Bailey is one of them that are single drivers. But out front, James Temple is controlling things relatively well at this point in time. There's a nice even spread here between the first 5 cars. The Detroits are starting to come, and with that comes Jan Kling, the 2 GT40s. That's a type car that comes out of Bailey cars, but the one behind it is the original version. And as it heads up the hill, you can see Jan Kling trying to push and close in on that type car of the Detroits. Definitely some big pressure coming there from Mark Detroit, trying to close that gap down. He definitely wants to get up and a little bit more to the front end of the field and get through those 2 Daytonas rapidly as possible if he can. He comes out of Kenwood now, flicks through past the Zoc Club, and there's an issue. Oh, he slowed down dramatically there. He's put his hand up. There's a problem there for Detroit. He's going to have to go into pit lane. That could potentially spoil the chances here of him getting the Magnificent 7 along with his brother. 7th victory. And they've gone in with less than 10 minutes in the race, which means they could potentially have to do a drive-through as well, because you're not allowed to pit in the first 10 and the last 5 minutes of this race. So there's a bit of an issue there for the Detroit boys. They're going to have to try and work on that and see what their strategy change is going to be. Here it comes rolling down into pit lane. You can see some big surprise faces to see that car in so early. He'll pull into the pre-race area, and then Sibu will jump on the car to try and find out what the issue is. Looks like Michiel Campagna also slowing up ever so slightly and being caught now by Mark Miller. Miller on the inside. He'll get through. The two Trans-Africa Racing Daytonas are going side by side, but the red one's got the advantage on the brakes. I wonder if there's a bit of an issue. It is exceptionally hot here at Zwartkops, and it might start to be playing into the factor of the ambient temperature working on these cars. We mentioned at the beginning of this race that they try not to make these cars work too hard in the heated conditions, but it is a heated battle that we're in at the moment. Daytonas and Cobras fighting at the front end. Trying to close things down now as they get into the traffic will be the GT40 of Peter Bailey. They go through on Francesco Resca there. He finds it relatively easily past there from Temple's point of view, and then onto the back end of Tim and Jen Abbott, who are sharing that 914 Porsche. Interesting little car, that little 914 Porsche. Also a nice little car to have in this pack. Now they look to close down on Schwabski. Warren Lombard didn't take too long to find a way past. We've got Peter Bailey in pit lane, as you can see at the same time. Also with a bit of an issue there on the GT40. I wonder what's gone wrong there with Pete's car. They're looking in the engine bay, and they're having a quick squiz. And then you've got Michiel Campagna in early as well. He's handed the duties over to this man, Le Mans winner and Formula F1 driver Jan Lammers. The 12 car coming at the same time. Simpson, that's John Simpson, handing across to a seasoned campaigner in South African motorsport, Zane Pierce. Great to have him back in a race car as well. And eventually they've got the Janetta back into pit lane, and looks like Mr. Humble is going to have to do some work on that car. Change up for the Alpha drivers. It's a busy pit lane at the moment. Lots of action happening down there. Francesco Resca handing over to his teammate there. So a bit of a change up there between the two of them. Interesting to see that as well. There we got, oh man, there's just action in pit lane and on track. That is Jan Kling, who's come in the GT40, but on the sideline, the GT40 of Peter Bailey, bringing the safety car out. So that's going to give a chance now for Chris Davison to hand over to Stuart Mack. They're in the replica there of Michael Briggs's championship winning car in Stanley Group N. It's not the original version, but it is a replica of that car. And Ryan Quanchart coming in now to do the change of duties from Patrick Mortier's point of view. Here comes Tender Shata as well. In fact, that's Ishmael Beloy. Beloy is in the Trans-Africa Racing machine. And there comes the little K-Eddy Estates BMW of Jason Campos out of Campos Racing. This is a hectic pit lane. With the safety car, the leaders have come in as well. So coming into pit lane, it is the lead car of James Temple and Warren Lombard right behind him. Perfect timing. That's going to give the lead of the race initially, if he stays out there for a lap, to Jan Lammers. Lammers will lead this race for one lap at least. And right behind him is Jan Kling. So nice to see the international contingent getting a chance to be at the front end. Here comes Temple. They're going to unclip the bonnet. They're going to unclip everything, get some air into that car. You can see Chichi going in there to give James some water. Some water being given to the Porsche as well. And it looks like Steve Pickering getting a chance there to get a little refuel. It's certainly very hot conditions. I wonder if there's an issue on this car. Chichi's sending him out. So it looks like everything's gone according to plan. And how far back is Lombard as they exit the pit lane? He should be right behind him. He is. Oh, it is so close. The top two exit pit lane at the almost identical time. So they came in at the same time. They exited within a couple of seconds of each other, but they've now got a bit of traffic ahead of them. And they roll up right behind the Lotus Cortina, piloted by Henny Groenewald and Sean van der Linde, two multiple saloon car champions in South African motorsport, teaming up in that Camille Doering racing machine of Carl Pinos. Let's catch up now with Chris Davison.
We kept it cool, kept consistent, avoided any mishaps. I saw a couple of spin-offs in front of me, whatever, but yeah, kept it all clean and managed to bring it in and hand it over to Stuart Mack, my co-driver, to do the last session.
Looks like it might be terminal issues here for Jan Lammers and Michiel Campagna.
We had to manage our oil temperature to begin with, but then it got warmer and warmer. I got a big smell of oil in the cockpit, and the temperature went just off the clock. So it also didn't feel right, so I thought before we do any more damage, we have to call it a race.
Looks like the race has restarted. We're under green flags, and look at where James Temple has gone to. He's dropped right back into Dion Schwabski's target. The Group N car's through him, and there's a brake issue there big time. Look at that, coming down towards turn 8. James cannot get that car stopped. He's rolled right off and almost taken the exact same line as his teammate did earlier on in the race. So following suit with what we saw Dirk Venter do, it looks like James Temple's got some brake issues, and that is going to be costly. It's dropped him right out of the hunt at the front, and Warren Lombard possibly has taken the lead because we've just seen Lammers come in and retire. So Lombard should be leading, and Mark Miller on the same lap as him, the only other car that's on the same lap at this point in the race. So that Daytona Coupe looking for a chance to possibly spoil the day there for Warren Lombard, and a possibility of a second victory there for Lombard in his Pep Boys Automotive AC Cobra. Alan Mayer with some smoke coming out of the front left there. Is that body rub on that tyre on the Chevron B8? You can see the 33 machine of Temple goes through. He's about to be lapped, incredibly, by the leaders. Here they come. Warren Lombard on the inside line, tucked in right behind him. Look for it. The little red bonnet should come into shot. There it is, of Mark Miller. What a dice to the finish here between these two. This has turned into something pretty spectacular and could potentially be even history in the making here for the closest finish ever in a South African Tourist Trophy. This is Lombard going defensive, keeping Miller out. Miller all over the back of him, looking for a way through. They've gone past on the stricken James Temple, who's still circulating, potentially still in with a chance of a top 5. And maybe even a class podium. But as they come down to the line, Lombard is doing everything right, keeping that AC Cobra as wide as possible and not allowing the chances there. And there you go, perfectly done for Mark Miller to get through. He'll have to settle for second place. It's only 0.6 of a second as they cross the line there. So certainly history in the making for that little effort between the two of them. Lombard takes the victory, Mark Miller, and some more history with Jason Campos putting a former production and Group N car onto the overall podium ahead of the Tender Chartes, and James Temple eventually finishing up in top 5. Great effort from Groenewald and Van der Linde just outside that top 5 in 6th place. And here's your winner, Warren Lombard.
If he doesn't have a problem, I have a problem. If I don't have a problem, he has a problem. That's how it works. We can't do it together. We finish together. I was looking forward to it after the pit stop. I thought, here we go, we're on, and then he had brake problems.
Welcome back to all the entertainment and action that's been unfolding here at the 25th anniversary of the Passion for Speed Festival, and a really nice demonstration now about to go on circuit of the movie that was out on Friday night, Ford versus Ferrari. And we have got a spectacular amount of Fords and Ferraris about to go onto the circuit. GT40s, P4s and P3 Ferraris. It's unbelievable to see how these cars are now rolling around and showing exactly what the battle was all about in Le Mans. The brand new GT is out there as well, courtesy of Lazarus Motorsport, and Mr. Laz is at the wheel of that car as well. You can see Peter Bailey with a couple of his customers out there too, in some race-going and road-going versions of the GT40s. But this, of course, was the epic battle that raged for a long time, as a certain Ford Motor Company got a man by the name of Carroll Shelby to join them and say, listen, I think we can take Ferrari on. And that's exactly what he did. And we move on to action now from the Pre-06 GT class, a new class entertaining the crowds here, and they've stuck around in a big way. A lot of these people have been here since Thursday camping, and they're going to be entertained now with Sam Hammond bringing 4 Lamborghinis onto the circuit.
We've had an opportunity to bring out our 4 Gallardos. They are factory Super Trofeos, 2009-2014 spec, and they've been raced all over the world, and we've had a privilege now of acquiring them and coming to enjoy them here at Swartkops at Passion. It's a very special event, and I think the true spirit of motor racing is so evident here, and the great people around us, fans, the cars, the nostalgia of the event. It's a really special event and something you must attend.
Pre-06 means that you've got about 20-year-old cars that are about to go to battle, and Mo Mia is in one of them in his Toys R Us Porsche.
It's going to be an awesome day. Any day on the racetrack is a good one. Swartkops, such a beautiful track, and it's my first time at Passion for Speed and also participating in the historic, so really looking forward to it, and so much of fun.
And that's what a lot of the drivers love, Mo, is having fun out there, particularly when you've got a new class, combining some more modern vehicles against some slightly older machinery. The GT1 out front is Mark Totoy. There's 4 Lamborghini Gallardo Trofeo cars right on his tail from Samlin Racing. Then you've got Willie Hepburn's car. That is fantastic to see. What an opportunity to see Willie Hepburn's Sabat V8 record out on circuit again. The late great, of course, not here with us, but he's definitely here in spirit. There's no doubt about it. He'll be fighting with the Italian Stallion in that Mustang. Franco De Matteo right on the tailpiece there of the 2 leading cars of their group, but they tucked in behind that battle between Mark Totoy in the GT1 fighting with the Lamborghini Trofeos. Behind that it is, there we go, Sia Fari in Willie's car. And that is another one of the previously piloted cars of Peter Goff that was involved in Westbank Modified Saloons and would have piloted at one point in time alongside Willie Hepburn. Not only in the record, but of course in his original car, the Ford Sierra, the Animal. So lots of interesting factors. As they head up to the top of the hill, there's an Opel Calibra in the mix as well. I think that might be Roddy Turner's and is out of shape as he gets up close and personal with Mo Mia. Welcome to Passion for Speed, Mo Mia. It was your first time out. And Joe DeSantos, unfortunately, has spun out right in front of you. Then Henny Grunewald goes through. Behind that, you can see a little bit of a change-up as they come through. Tace Volchenk as well in an Audi RS2. Unbelievable to see the array of cars in this new pre-06 GT class. Change up for the lead. It is now the Lamborghini of Damien Hammond who's got ahead of Mark du Toit. Wayne Roach is on du Toit's tail. Here comes Franco Di Matteo. Now, Di Matteo would not have raced that machine originally. That was, I think, Gary Formato's Mustang that he was in. And he's piloting it now, trying to close down on one of arguably the most recognizable race cars in South Africa, the Opel record of Willie Hepburn. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to lose the Calibra early on, and we're going to lose Di Matteo as well with a braking issue into turn 6 and into the kiddie litter. The Italian Stallion got that all wrong. See if he's got it all wrong at the same time. We got two big V8 supercars stuck in kiddie litter. Managed to get out though, fortunately there for CF and got Willie's car back on circuit. Let's have a replay here. This is DeSantos just out of shape. Got it sideways, and on the downshift it just stepped out, and there was nowhere to go there for Momia. There's also inline parking there in the middle of the circuit for Willie Hepburn and Siafaris, the pilot of Willie Hepburn's Opel record. Hammond under pressure. Du Toit looking for a way to pounce now as he heads to the top of the hill, but it's yellow flags and change of surface. And whoa, how's that in the background? Damien Hammond having to take evasive action as he went round the outside of his dad, Sam. And that was very close. So Damien Hammond and Nathan Hammond and Sam Hammond having some fun and games in the Lambos. Checkered flag is on its way as they head down here for the final time. It is going to be Damien to hang on for the win. Mark du Toit so late on the brakes, nearly went right up the exhaust pipe there of the Lambo. Managed to just avoid him and hangs on for second place to beat out Wayne Roach in the second of the Lambos. It's Nathan who gets a little bit sideways as we sort of find a way past on Sam. Tace Volchenk eventually coming through there for 8th place. Let's have a look at the official results though. Hammond from du Toit, Roach, Hammond and Hammond, your top 5. A good drive there from Lee Thompson. And Andre Dudek's having a good run there. A fantastic effort in that Piranha of his. Moving straight into action now from Heat 2. It's once again the battle of the Fords versus the Lambos. We had Ford versus Ferrari earlier on. This is Ford versus Lambo. And joining them, it'll be a little Opel Astra there of Lee Thompson. Doesn't look like CF3 is going to... Oh, he is there. He is just tucked in behind the Audi. He's having to come from the back of the pack along with the Batmobile. And looks like Franco Di Matteo as well. We're on board with Mark du Toit as they head down towards Castrol, closing in on Hammond. I think du Toit would love to beat these bulls in his home track. There's no doubt about it. Looks like Siffy taking a little bit of a longer time to find a way through there on that RS2 of Tace Volchenk, but eventually finds it with the additional power. No replacement for displacement as the Opel record goes flying around the outside of that all-wheel drive Quattro. Problems for Lee Thompson. Thompson slowing in the background. So looks like the Astra might have had a little bit of issues and he's had to slow that car right down coming out of turn 3. Would have caused a little bit of a concertina effect. Here come the two Lambos fighting from behind and fighting for honours in the Lamborghinis. Right now, it is du Toit who leads. Brilliantly done finding a way past there on Hammond. So you've got Hammond from Roach, and then it's Sam, and a change up again as Mark du Toit misses again. Oh, it's on here. There is no doubt about it. We're in for a big battle here between Mark du Toit in the Ford GT1 versus the Lamborghini Trofeo machines all around him from Samlin Racing. Look at that, Wayne Roach into the mix as well. Good run there from him. He had a fantastic run in the first heat. He's looking to do more of the same here in the second heat. And looking for a good battle here between himself and Hammond. Make that Hammond times 3. Himself and Mark du Toit. So it's a big fight into Castrol Corner. And once again, the GT1 just sneaks ahead for second, keeping out the rest of that pack of very hungry bulls on his tail. Tace Volchenk out of shape at 5. Coming out of AMG, he's got it all out of shape, but fortunately, with the Quattro system in that car, would have got out of the kitty litter relatively easily. Are we going to see change of surface possibly up to the top of the hill? Yes, we are. And we're also going to see a change of lead because it looks like du Toit's going to go for the lead. He's got it. Mark du Toit dives through and finds his way to the front end. Now, can he stay there? He's got 4 very hungry drivers on his tail, led out by Nathan Hammond. Second place is the 195 car there of Wayne Roach. Then it's Damien Hammond in there as well. In fact, Damien and Nathan have swapped out there. So, a bit of a glare on those windscreens as they come down towards us. 5-9 round the outside is Sam Hammond. He's now getting into the mix. So the Hammond boys and Roach are going hunting, and their target is firmly set on that GT1 of Mark du Toit's. They've pulled a big margin, these first 5 cars, getting away from everybody else out on circuit at this point in the race. But it looks like Toy is going to have his work cut out for him here. We saw this car come out in Extreme Supercars in the closing stages of 2025. Just developing it. Mark Toy knew exactly what he was up against. Coming into some of the back markers now, coming up on the back end of the Pablo Clark BMW Batmobile. He finds a way past on that one relatively easily. So does Hammond as they dive through. And, big touch. Inside line and out of shape, and that is not what you want to be doing in a race like this, that is for sure. Big moment there for Hammond as he got onto the inside curb and then spun out. The BMW missed him, went and avoided him actually twice as he went through the kiddie litter to go into the safety road for the top of the hill there, but that's given Mark Toy a massive advantage. So Toy now with a clear advantage over the rest of the pack of the Bulls right now, which is Wayne Roach and Nathan Hammond. Sam Hammond having to take evasive action, and a big problem there for Damien as he went off circuit completely. Checkered flag is out. Second race in 06 GTs. For the first time out goes to Mark Toy. A great effort there from the GT1 driver, beating out the second and third Bull on track, which was eventually piloted by Wayne Roach and Nathan Hammond. Mo Mia, what a fantastic finish for his first outing at Passion for Speed, in 4th place in his Porsche. Beats out Sam Hammond, and then it's Cavalieri ahead of Fulchink, Dimitar, Hammond and Lee Thompson, eventually circulating to finish up in 10th in the Astra. Please do what these people are doing. Stick around because we've still got a little bit more action to give you this show from the Passion for Speed's 25th anniversary. We'll see you after the break. The Checkered Flag Museum were in full effect, and Steve Coturbo invited legends of South African motorsport, and they were all here. Let me tell you something. It was fantastic to see some beautiful cars and some really awesome faces from the world of motorsport from the 50s, 60s and 70s coming together and entertained by the Checkered Flag and Swartkops. Paddy Driver signing that car, that McLaren, of course, a very famous race car. And Motorsport South Africa must be pretty happy about the turnout that's happened here to start off the 2026 season. And one of the guests down in the VIP area was Sief Fourie, who's raced against most of these legends.
Well, yeah, that's also, that's another privilege. I'm 38 years old, turning 39 this year, but I've raced against all the greats. I've raced against Uncle Sarel, I've raced, of course, Swanepoel, Henny Groenewald, the Polters, the Cronier brothers, all these greats here, Franco de Matteo, Uncle Ben, Uncle Willie. I've raced against all of them. So for me, my bucket list is stick to who I raced against. So yeah, I'm happy. It's a privilege sharing the track with these legends.
And there's the achievements of that particular car, Willie's Opel record. And from legends in the pit lane, we now go to legends on track as we go to the legends of the 9-hour production cars. V8s are in the house and about to give us all the entertainment that the big crowd have expected all day long. Battles in the past in this particular class have been spectacular, and we're expecting more of the same here today as we've got 12 national or former national champion drivers behind the wheels of these big cars as they head down towards 1 and 2 for the first time. Picking up on Sief Fourie, who will lead the pack down towards turn 1. Ben Morgan will be on his tail. They'll get the green flag coming out of turn 3, and that's when the hammer drops. The Detroit boys will be looking to try and squeeze in there, as will Paolo Cavalieri in the big Galaxy, looking for a chance to get that block of flats into the mix earlier on. And then Lee Thompson will be coming from a bit further back than what he'd like to be. He's alongside Kursi Swanepoel, though, as we go on board here with Jonathan Detroit. And the green flag comes out for the green Ford ahead of him, of his brother Mark. So a big fight expected between that Thunderbolt and the Chevy Nova, or Chevy 2, as they come through turn 4. On their tail is first the Lindenberg Racing Machines. That's the Piranha Capri of Alistair Simpson. Behind that, in Page's car, is James Temple, getting a chance to drive the Ford Fairlane as they come up into the brakes now for the first time into turn 5. You can see already starting to slip and slide there from both Kursi and, a big spin in the background. Simpson out of shape. The Piranha ends up in the kitty litter. Don't light that thing up. It's going to dig down into the kitty litter. Just be ginger on the throttle coming out of the L if you can. Back on board with Jono as they go down the hill onto the brakes. He closes right onto the back end of that Thunderbolt of his brothers, and he's doing the same thing onto the back end of the Galaxy of Cavalieri. Cavalieri also starting to slip and slide as they come out of turn 8, trying to close the gap down there on Ben Morganroot. Morganroot looking to try and close the gap on the leader, Sief Fourie Jr., that Mercury Cougar. Now remember, these cars are all famous from what was the prohibition period before NASCAR was built. And some of these cars were even too dangerous for NASCAR. They wouldn't allow them to race. Didn't stop the guys from using them, though, for doing those illegal activities. Another Thunderbolt out there, looking good, is James Temple, but he's got Thompson all over the back of him. Lee Thompson in the second of the Galaxy is looking for a chance to sneak through, and so is Ben Morgenroot as they go into turn 4. The Ford Mercury Cougar shuts the door on the Mustang. But the king of Randfontein is looking for a way past, and he's got side by side. He'll probably be a little bit easier on the brakes because it's a slightly lighter car. And it's a done deal. Perfectly done from Ben Morgenroot. He runs slightly wide, but I think Siffy realized that. He comes straight back at him, gets that Cougar sideways, and retakes the lead. Oh, this is a great battle here. Two very, very famous names in motorsport. And speaking of famous names, that's the Bobby Althoff Trans-Africa Racing Galaxy with Lee Thompson at the wheel. Dug deep into the Kidilitz at turn 4. Oh, Michiel Campagna. He's in the Smoky Unique Cheval. He's got out of shape at the top of the hill as well. So cars are starting to slip inside. Simpson coming back now in the Piranha. Finds a way past. Just dives through there on Michiel Campagna. Easy to pick up on him. So that bright orange Netherlands-style coloured machine helmet on. And in the 57 car, Kusi Swanepoel having an absolute blast in the Black Widow. That 57 Chevy Bel Air is flying. The Cheval out of shape again. Oh, it's been a tough day in the saddle there for our Dutch contingent. Michiel Campagna is now stricken on the sideline at the bottom of the hill at turn 8. Could that possibly mean double wave yellows? Possibly, yes. That's going to hinder the opportunity here for Ben Morgan to have a go at Siffrey. They're coming up onto the back end of Chad Tendershate as well. Also in a Mustang. He had to back out of that because of the flags, and allows the Mercury Cougar to go through. Checkered flag is out, and with that, Siffrey gets the victory. Ben was hoping that it was going to be clean air down into turn 8. Unfortunately, because of the double yellows, he had to back out of that one and settle for second. Cavalieri comes through for third. It's the Toy Squared for 4 and 5. Then Ellison ahead of Swanepoel. James Temple beats out Jonty Needham, and Terry Wolford coming through there in 10th place. Good drive from him. Tough day in the Cheval there for Michiel Campagna, but let's catch up with him.
No, it was very good. We did some racing in Europe, of course, in the meantime. And now we're coming back here and enjoying the nice weather in our winter time. So we're enjoying it here. Very good. Practice went not very well, and in the race, just the brakes were blocked. So I went off the track, and then I went on it again after a restart. And then I had no brakes at all. So I bumped into somebody else, but I got to the finish. So hopefully the brakes are good for the next race.
Cars are ready for race 2. Let's see if Jonathan du Toit is.
Just hold on to the front, guys. I think a little off pace this weekend. We'll have to do a bit of homework for the next time. But yeah, keep pushing because it's quite hot out there. No doubt people will make mistakes.
The heat is certainly going to be a big factor, John. There's no doubt about it, particularly with these big cars. We heard it from Michiel Campagna. We saw it with a couple of cars having brake issues, Lee Thompson being one of them. Hopefully he's got that Galaxy back up and running as they head down towards turn 1 and 2 under yellows. And then from yellow flags, we go to green onto turn 3. James Temple climbs into his sister-in-law's car, the Ford Fairlane out of Lindenberg Racing. He'll be looking to pilot it and have a bit of a dice once again with Kusi Swanepoel. Look how eager Cavalieri is once again, and this time a little bit more up close and personal from the two du Toit boys. They are looking to try and stay in the hunt there as much as possible. We go on board here with James Temple as we come out of turn 2. There's Kusi Swanepoel in that Chevy just ahead of him, but it's Ben Morgan who just dropped the hammer right from the word go, and he's got problems in the background though. Look at Ellison. Oh, that is a massive moment there for Colin Ellison. Sliding across the track, the car catches a light. He's hit that internal barrier, and big problems there. Jonathan du Toit got caught out ever so slightly. I think by the action that happened, he missed the brake marker and went off the circuit, fortunately, onto the top of the hill section. So the runoff strip and the start line there assisted him to get back on circuit, but that's definitely not helped out there for Colin Ellison. You can see he's out the car, fortunately. He's been attended to there. Sun's out, guns out, but wow, what a moment there for that car. So we restart this race down towards turn 1. Can Ben Morgan get this whole shot again as they come out of turn 2 and head towards 3? He did in the first attempt. He would like to be at the front end in the second attempt, but this time he's blocked by that Cougar of Siffrey. So he has to hang on until they come out of 2 onto 3. There is Temple under attack there from Jonty Needham. Round the outside as well, looking for a way through is Simpson. Then you got Chad Tendershate and Warren Lombard in there as well. Fantastic to see this big array of cars. Jonathan du Toit sneaks right almost onto the bumper there of his brother, and his brother's all over the back of Cavalieri as they come out of turn 4, heading up to the top of the hill for the first time in anger. It's the Chevy Bel Air right on their tail of Kusi Swanepoel, but this time, once again, it is certainly a big task that is going to be asked here from Ben Morgan's point of view to find a way through on Siffrey Jr. They come out of turn 6 and 7, flick it down the hill. Nice line and a snaky line of big V8s heading towards the braking point at turn 8. Big factor here, of course, as we heard from all the drivers, is they've got to try and nurse the brakes, they've got to try and nurse the tyres, particularly in the heat of the day that they've got. Kursi's run wide already. Swanepoel runs wide in the Black Widow. That might open up an opportunity for someone to dive through. Temple is looking for a way past. Can he find it? The Lindenberg Racing Man looking for a way through. And there in the background again, Campagna yet again spins out at turn 8. Oh, he's had a tough 25th anniversary. He has one of our longest campaigners in the Passion for Speed Festival, Michiel Campagna. Change up for the lead. There's Morgenroot squeezing through turn 4. Siafari trying to come straight back at him. Can he do it? No, it's not quite as nimble as the Mustang ahead of him. The Cougar is a much bigger car, and it's a big handful of car as well. We're coming to the closing stages. This is perfect timing, I think. Yeah, oh, but a little late dash effort there from the Cougar to squeeze through. Oh, Farid Jr. was having a look, but I don't think he's going to find it. It's Morgenroot who's going to hang on here for the win. And yes, indeed, especially if he spins out on the final corner. That's how hard Sir Farid was trying. He just puts it into second and buries the throttle. Look at that. What a recovery. Let's get a couple of action replays of all the action that's taken place so far. Starting with the spin done into turn 8. There you can see, gets it out of shape. But the best part about it is how he just puts it into second gear and throws it. This is the big one, though. This is Ellison flying across the circuit in that Thunderbolt of his. And the Thunderbolt struck and literally took out the barriers. Checkered flag for Morgenroot. He's hung on. He's got the victory. And he takes the second victory on the day there, ahead of Paolo Cavalieri, who squeezed out, and Jonathan DeToy for third place. That was after the big spin of Seferi Jr. So wrapping things up in our production cars, it's Morgenroot, Cavalieri, and DeToy. DeToy comes through for fourth place as well there, Jono, ahead of Kursi Swanepoel. And Alistair Simpson in sixth place, which wraps up our coverage of the 25th anniversary of the Passion for Speed Festival this week. The 25th anniversary edition of the Passion for Speed Festival is proudly brought to you by Marlboro Crane Hire and Swartkorps International World of Motoring.